Cool
well, anything you do in a heightened state anchors things into your body more.
Yeah.
So not just into your mind, but into your physical body, which is cool.
100%.
All right. Well, this is my first Joe Rogan experience. I mean, my first live video.
Let's take it over the top.
We're going over the edge. If anybody thought of me as being a 6'5" buff, chiseled face, I'm sorry to disappoint. It's 5'9" and short and a little round in certain places I shouldn't be, but it's okay. Oh, wait a minute. Look, we got the disco ball. Disco ball, so we're good. All right, so my name is Mark Baratto. This is the Backyards of Key West podcast, but not my video blog. But you'll introduce yourself and get into what we're doing here, why we're doing a video, and then we're going to do twists and turn and go down the rabbit hole of a lot of questions.
Yeah, man, I'm excited.
So, Scott, introduce yourself and your project.
So my name is Scott Gerke, and my current project, well, actually, let me say this. So my name is Scott Gerke. I'm the owner of an event production company in town where I DJ events for a living. That's how I make my money. Pre-COVID. Yeah, so back in March, specifically March 17th of 2020, St. Patrick's Day, Key West pretty much shut down.
Right.
And that same day, I was told that all of my events were canceled for the foreseeable future. 100%. Like literally in March, the rest of my year was gone.
Right. So you have your regular business doing DJs. You have your calendar booked. You got rent to pay. You got bills. You got all these things. And then all of a sudden, because, I've interviewed a bunch of bars as well. And like St. Patrick's Day is like their Black Friday. And it's like, they were a little pissed with the local government. Like you couldn't wait till that Monday. You had to do it the day before, right? That everything went down. But so everything got canceled for you.
Oh, dude, it was ridiculous. Like I literally had no idea what I was going to do. At first it was like, all right, well, now you just got some time to hang out and work on your van. So I figured, so I'll just start working on my van.
Now, explain the van. Were you planning on creating like a tiny home / livable van before all this happened? Was that like your goal?
Well,
that smile says it all, everybody. Now we can see what's going on.
So, when I first started my event production company in Key West, I told myself if I'm going to do this full time, I have to live the life I want to live.
Right.
So I told myself by year 3, if you aren't able to support a lifestyle to where you can travel for 3 months out of the time every year, then you got to start going back to the drawing board. Mm-hmm. And because it's really hot and there's not really a lot of events in the summertime. So I was like, boom, dude, that's the time I want to be gone.
You want to be out of here anyway in the summer.
So I was just working my butt off from October, for 3 years straight. Mm-hmm. I didn't take a day off. And then year 3 came through, and I told myself, all right, I have enough money to pay rent for the entire year without, having to work, but I'm going to continue to work and then take the summers off.
Right. So you're squirreling away money the entire time.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my idea worked. Like the hard work paid off.
Yeah, because you had savings. Because you had no more work.
I wasn't going to the bars.
Right.
Well, not that badly.
Yeah.
But
happy hour.
No, never any happy hours.
Okay.
Never do that. I got work to do.
Okay.
But year 3 rolls around and I have 3 months off. So at the time I had a Jeep, mm-hmm. and I didn't have the space to build a van. So I called up my dad. I'm like, Dad, I found this van for $5,600, but I really don't want to buy it. But it will also give me the opportunity to travel.
Yeah.
He's like, Scott, get it.
Right.
So I bought it. I built it out in 2 weeks, and I went traveling all up and down the East Coast.
Okay, so it's COVID, it hits, you're canceled. You didn't have the van yet.
Yeah.
You decided, all right, I've got the savings. I can save even more by building this out, having it as a house, and like getting rid of your apartment.
So, let me make this a little bit easier
Yeah.
for the audience to understand. Long story short, I then had bought a Sprinter van because I knew that I wanted to continue to travel in a van.
Right.
And so this was a purchase that I knew was going to be an investment for not only work, but for my
Lifestyle.
My lifestyle.
Yeah.
And so I always had in the back of my head that I was going to live out of this thing eventually.
Right. It's like what Tom Green's doing right now. You know what Tom Green?
Dude, dude, he is doing
He's
that.
got the Sprinter van. He's doing his vlog. He's like in the desert.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what he's doing.
So I just started doing this. I was like, I have to figure this out. I was just completely immersed with these van life videos on YouTube. And
were you still had your apartment?
Yeah. So I still had my place because I was working full time. I didn't really have a chance to live in it full time. So when the pandemic hit, after a week of just goofing off, I'm like, wait a minute, here's my opportunity to do exactly what I been wanting to do, which is move into my van full time, travel the country with a camera in my hand, and film experiences with people I once never knew.
Right. So you automatically went from, all right, I have a budget of 12 months worth of money saved, to probably the minute you got rid of your apartment and got rid of your Jeep, probably even more money.
Yes, more money, but
I mean, you had to put some into building it out.
Yeah,
so.
the van. Yeah, I made my house a home.
Yeah,
like it's nice.
Right.
And with the help of some people within the Key West community, I got to build it the way I wanted it to.
Now, just to interrupt for a second, there's probably going to be a lot of interrupting, so
that's fine.
Don't be mad at me, everybody. When we first met, which we'll get into that story as well, you were like, I'm living out of my van. And the first thing that came to my mind was not like this nice Mercedes Sprinter van by any means. It was like, like the Scooby-Doo van, the mystery machine.
100% the Scooby-Doo van.
Where you're like, there's like an old dirty mattress with like a brown stain on it, and you're like in the back with one sock, which wasn't the case.
I had grass, the fake turf in my van. That was cool.
Okay. All right. So, I mean, you obviously built it out to be more of a home than just
it's a Sprinter van.
Yeah.
So, it's people kind of do that thing. And I knew that if I wanted, and my business just kind of took off when I moved into town.
Yeah.
So I needed a bigger van for work. And then I also knew that this was going to be a way that I could actually live comfortably because I could stand up.
Yeah.
I got a bathroom, a shower, kitchen, all
That's
that kind
so
of
cool.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. It's all
so once I realized that I can just move into my van, like I had no other responsibilities because I had no work.
Yeah.
So I moved into my van. I spent literally 1 month. It was April 1st that I told myself I'm going to be out of Key West by May 6th.
Wow. So you had to get it all ready for the travel.
I love countdowns, dude.
Yeah, I can tell.
I love putting the pressure on myself to get something done. And so I start calling around. I order everything I need off of like literally one company. I just gave them everything I needed.
Right.
And then I found a friend. His name's Afro, 74-year-old guy who faked his way out of the military by acting as if he had a mental disorder. And the whole story is on my YouTube channel.
Right.
It's freaking incredible.
Yeah.
So he helped me build it out within 2 weeks. 74-year-old man.
Wow.
Spent 2 weeks
with a mental
me.
problem.
He had, with the mental problem. Yeah, it was incredible. And then I shaved my head, I pierced my ear, and I left town.
All in that order.
Well, I was like, what are some other things that I want to do? Oh, I totally been wanting to shave my head because I just never done it before.
Yeah.
And I don't pierce my ears because I feel like I have a presentation to hold for my wedding couples, you know? And I was like, screw it.
Right. Well, you didn't get a face tattoo. That's a good thing. You don't want to maybe go that far.
Oh, but I filmed it and everything. I had a great time.
Yeah.
And then I left town.
Right. Okay. So for the viewers and for the listeners, this isn't a podcast about building a Sprinter van and traveling the world. That's one part of the story.
Yeah. There's a lot of layers.
Let's fast forward and then we'll go back in time.
Yeah.
So let's fast forward to what your most recent project that you recently did. You started publishing more on stories. It was an amazing experience from the outside perspective, and we want to get the inside scoop. So let people know kind of what you did last week.
Yeah. So what I'm doing now is the reason. Like what happened to me a long time ago is why I'm doing what I'm doing now. So what I am up to at the moment is I have a YouTube series called Once a Stranger, where I film experiences with people I once never knew.
Right.
And so I just find ways to create a good time with people who were complete strangers, and quickly find a way to have create a friendship with them. Because I believe that really a stranger is just a friend you haven't met yet.
Right.
And it's just really fun to live like that.
Yeah.
And so what you are asking about my latest project is the most epic Key West experience with the stranger.
Yes.
And
which is part of the series. It's just
this is one of the latest ones that I'm really, really proud of. And what happened was I was looking for a way to create some buzz. I want people to start noticing what I'm doing. And so I just started typing in keywords into YouTube, and I just typed in Key West, and I just started watching a ton of Key West videos just to see how people put those together.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait a minute, where's the excitement of surprise? There's no wild excitement of surprises in any of these videos with an epic adventure.
Right.
It's since I'm a local, being here for 11 years, I could almost expect what these people were going to do next.
Right.
So I was like, dude, there's an open market.
Yeah.
I'm going to do an absolute crazy adventure with someone that I just pick up at the airport, and I'm going to turn it into the best Key West adventure video on YouTube.
Right. Right. Okay. So,
and so immediately I had that idea. I started typing on Facebook. That's always the way I get my help, through the community on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, all right, so I have this idea, but I can't spend any money. Who wants to help? So all these businesses started chiming in, dude. It was wild.
yeah.
And long story short, we got about $3,000 worth of activities sponsored.
Wow.
Within 3 days.
Wow.
And they know that I don't have much of a following. I'll be real. I only have 1,000 people on my YouTube. I don't even have 1,000 on Instagram, but that's not the point. This is just the beginning.
Right. Well, that's how the community here works.
Yeah. And these people, and I tried to pitch it in a way oh, you're going to get advertising exposure, blah, 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 just because I was kind of insecure with my knowing that I don't have a lot of followers, and I know they have a lot more to give to me than I do to them. Mm-hmm. So I was insecure about that. So I was trying to figure out how I could work myself. And they even wrote back to me in email form saying, look, Scott, we don't care that you don't have a following. That's not the point.
Yeah.
The point is you're doing something really cool, and we want to be a part of it.
Right. Okay. So tell me how that day went. Right. Tell me.
I can't help but laugh, dude.
About your partner in crime who
perfect.
you just recently met, and you're showing videos of him with his military outfit on, and you're I didn't even know you were in the military. So it wasn't even just the stranger you were meeting. Your partner in crime, who's the videographer during that, was a stranger.
Dude, everything that has been happening.
And then you and I
lately,
met a week before that.
I know it's absolutely wild how the world works. But so once I scripted out everything, it was literally a 12-hour activity script or timeline, and I just could not do it on my own. So again, I went to Facebook. Any aspiring, quote unquote, videographers.
For everybody out there, that means free.
That means free. Yeah. And I clearly put on there, I have no money, but I have $100 I guess I can give you. But what's going to happen is we're going to establish a really cool relationship. You're going to do all these activities with me, and I want to help build your channel too.
Right.
And so Jordan, I have to call you out because I think this is just the sign of the times. He's 22, 23 years old, and he just friend requests me on Facebook.
Yeah.
And I don't accept friend requests from people I don't know.
Right.
So I looked him up, and I saw he was a videographer. So I was like, oh, it must be from the post. So I reached out to him. I said, hey, did you friend request me because you're interested in the gig? And he said, yeah. I was like, we could have messaged me, bro.
Yeah. Well, he wanted to probably check you out and make sure you weren't
but he friend requested me. But my brain is if I want it, I'm getting it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so I messaged him, got on a phone call with him, and I said, hey, this is the project. I'll be honest with you, I don't have any money. But
we could be at the airport all day, and this could be a complete bust.
Yeah. And he's and he stopped me in the middle of my fumbling, trying to figure out how much I should give him. And he said, Scott, don't worry about it, dude. I'm in the military. I don't need your money.
Yeah.
And so I I got him sushi instead.
Right. We'll all take food. That's for sure.
Yeah.
We'll all
So,
take food.
and him and I didn't know anything about our shooting styles, nothing. We looked each other up on the socials, and
Right.
I saw that he was legit.
Yeah, because I was following you along on the stories that you're posting, which was great.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, we have to all meet at this time at 6. And I was like, oh, please God, let them all meet. Because this is all people you're just meeting for the first time, right? You'll talk about how you actually got the person at the airport, but he could have not showed, Manny could have not showed, right? You could have not showed.
We don't know about Manny yet, though.
Right.
Because we haven't gotten to the airport yet.
Yeah.
It was, my brain was just on fire. Like the anxiety it was like fun anxiety. It's like,
excitement.
Boom, you got to get this.
Right.
Yeah, excitement. And so once, I found him, then it was time to find the person.
Yeah.
And we chose to do that at the airport.
Okay. So you go to the airport, you have equipment. Is like TSA saying what are you doing?
Yes.
You're not allowed to film this stuff.
I didn't look up any rules. I was just like, oh, it's a public space. Why can't I be here?
Right.
And they're
because
like,
it's federal. And you just, I probably would have did the same thing too. It's better to say I'm sorry than ask for permission.
I literally went knowing nothing.
Yeah.
And I even put a sign on the baggage claim thing, and the sheriff was like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
I was like, just putting a sign up, and they're like, "It's federal property."
Right.
It's like, oh, I'm sorry.
Right.
And but they were all really cool about it,
Yeah.
And
Yeah, because
they
they
just wanted to know what I was doing.
Exactly. You weren't putting 2-for-1 drinks at this place and putting ads.
And there was no
there.
money involved.
Exactly.
Like it's not a commercial.
Yeah.
So yeah, we got to the airport at 8 a.m, and
Did you think, because in your stories you were saying stuff like, I don't know how long we're going to be here. Like you really didn't know. I mean, it could have been.
I expected to be there all day.
Yeah. And did you have an approach where you going to just I'm just going to walk right up to somebody by themselves and be like, hey, you want to go on this adventure? And how did you even think about that? Or?
Oh yeah. I thought about that. I can get kind of obnoxious when I have a lot of excitement and nervousness running through me. Like I don't really realize the space I'm creating for people.
Right.
But I also thought that would be a fun way to find the person.
Yeah.
Like, don't do anything that isn't you.
Yeah. Of course.
So I was like,
you'll be too exhausted anyway by the end of the day.
And I'll forget to be the person I'm not. Right. So I'm just like, dude, you just go at it the way that you would just have a good time. So I brought a megaphone.
Yeah.
I brought a megaphone with me. Yeah.
I'm sure the TSA loved that too. You're like, attention, people are diving to the ground thinking there's like a bomb.
I brought a megaphone with me, and I stood out in the front of the doors as people were walking in, and I put on a low volume.
Yeah.
It was more of just a presentation than the volume.
Right.
And I said, and I have a little disco ball on the bottom of the megaphone because
Yeah.
I'm just a dude who loves disco.
Yeah.
And so I just hold up the microphone, and I'm like, is there anyone traveling solo travelers? Anybody interested in going on the most epic journey with me? But you have to be traveling solo, and you have to say yes to whatever surprises I have in store.
Right. And most people are thinking, okay, this is like when I go to the Marriott and they're like, hey, come for free breakfast. And you show up and they're like, how would you like to buy into our hotel thing? Right. I'm sure people are thinking there's got to be some catch to this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No. And I realized, because I already knew that it was free in my head, that for 3 hours, I didn't say the word free.
Right.
I just said epic venture. And so, of course, people coming into town thinking I'm just trying to sell them a trip.
Exactly.
So I totally failed on that for the first 3 hours.
Listen, I've done like 84 episodes of the podcast, and I've been asking people. I mean, I have like 120 recorded, and I just started telling people, oh, it's free. Because a lot of times people will be like, no, and they probably think that I'm going to charge them, right? Or sometimes I'm like, how much is this going to cost? I'm like, this is free. So don't worry. I've been, it's been a whole year, and I just started doing it.
And so I started to get, and I was super nervous. I'm going to be honest with you. Like I was just had the jitters. Like it's kind of weird just going and asking somebody if they want to, and you don't know who that person is either, right? So there's a really interesting element where two people have to just understand that it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And so I even had one person tell me that the way that I was asking will never get in, or nobody would ever they said, something along the lines of like, that's a rude question to ask, as if there are problems or it's not like a
Right,
good
like you're a
thing to be
loser because
Oh
you
yeah,
can't
you're a loser.
travel
Exactly.
with
I was
somebody
like, wait a
else.
minute. I love traveling by
Yeah.
myself, and I thought you're the perfect person.
Yeah.
You know, but she was with somebody.
Right.
But anyways, 3 hours goes by.
So wait, she wanted to come and tell you that this wasn't going to work, even though she wasn't one of
I had
the...
two people. I had one lady said, "You're never going to find anybody talking like that."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Come on, I'm having a good time."
Yeah.
So 3 hours rolls by, and
Are you getting a little nervous after 3 hours?
no, because my backup plan was Duval Street.
Okay.
But I also had till 4 o'clock. The last flight was going to come in.
Right.
So it was like 11:45, noon, something like that. And the whole plane people go through, and then this guy walks up to me. He says, or I know I pointed at him. I said, "Hey, are you traveling solo?" And he was. "As you want to go on an adventure with me?" He's a little hesitant.
Yeah.
I was nervous, dude, because I knew that this was my guy.
Right.
And I didn't know how to deliver this pitch to him.
Yeah.
Just something about his connection. I knew that he was my guy. He's a little timid,
Yeah.
but he was talking to me.
Right.
So that was enough for me.
Right.
And so
Foot was in the door already.
yeah, so I was like shaking a little bit, and you could tell in the video, like I kind of stutter my speech a little bit. And then he says, "Sure." So I take him over, I screen him, like, okay, any health conditions, blah, blah, blah. You can be free tomorrow.
And this was just a one-day adventure.
Correct.
Okay.
But you had to meet me at 8 a.m.
Right. And how long did it go to?
till 10:30 at night.
Okay, so it was a full day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
And
full commitment.
Yeah. And so
And was he like, I don't know, that's long, or was he like, I'm in?
No, he wasn't 100. He's like, yeah, I'm in. I have, I'll just cancel my plans. It's my birthday. It's my birthday tomorrow. I was like,
Right.
you kidding me? This is the dude.
Yeah.
100%. But my concern is he was all the way in Marathon. So I was going to drive up to get him.
So he was flying into Key West
To go to Marathon. So, long story short, the dude stays up all night in Key West and parties by himself, and then meets me at Higgs Beach at 8 a.m.
So wait, he takes he's got his bag and he's like in the bar with his like.
Well, he had brought his cousin with him.
Okay.
Which was meeting him from Marathon. So he wasn't technically solo.
Got it.
But he was good enough. He was good enough. Like,
Yeah.
At some point, you just kind of have to.
So he gave the
compromise.
luggage to the cousin, and
Correct.
he's like, "Hey, bro,
Yeah.
I'm getting
Which
a ride."
he hadn't seen him in 15 years.
Wow.
So he actually gave up that day. His cousin was happy for him.
Yeah.
It was awesome. So, anyways, we picked him up at 8 a.m, and the adventure started.
Okay. Can you go through the adventures? Because what I really want to do is I want to use this platform to promote those businesses. Because I do have 27,000 people that listen to the podcast. I have somewhat of a following. I want to give back to them at least and help promote them for what they did for you.
Yeah. So just to understand your angle on this as well is I don't know how detailed is this podcast more about that adventure and then a little bit of the backstory, or vice versa?
It's going to be on whatever the heck you want to talk about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're in for a long ride, listeners.
That may not get edited out.
Yeah. There's no editing. For me, again,
really? There's no...
I do a little editing at the beginning, and that's really it.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
what I'm saying. I feel like a
love
schlump
it.
because it's just all like, it's done. And you're like 14 hours later, dehydrated, haven't slept. And I'm like, 10 minutes later, we're good.
So, all right. So now we have our guy. So now we have like 8 adventures. And all of these adventures, I told him straight up, I have $0, but I'm going to do the best I can to, share your company with the experience, which, like I said, they didn't really care about. But anyways, at 8 a.m, we pick up my buddies, Jim and Joanna Cooper's golf cart, which
Okay.
they let me borrow. Sorry, electric car.
Right.
So thank you to the Coops.
Thanks, Coopers. Okay.
From Soundwave.
Okay.
It's an entertainment company in town. And so we got to borrow their car, which was perfect. You have to have an electric car when you're in Key West.
Of course.
And then we went to our first adventure. Remember, this is all a surprise. All right. We stop at Keys Coffee, which is like one of my favorite places to, get coffee and eat. And so we stopped there, and And he had never had Cuban coffee before.
Oh
so
my
it was
God.
perfect. This guy had never done any of this stuff that I did for him.
Right.
So
You're like, you're getting a colada. He's like, a who?
yeah, it was awesome. And so we got that, and then we went to our first adventure, which was jet ski tour with Fury.
Okay.
And I called up Fury prior to this, and we're like, oh yeah, sure, here you go. Have some tickets. And so he had never been on a jet ski.
Oh my God.
This dude was killing it on a jet ski. You know, what they go 55 miles an hour.
Yeah.
That guy was awesome.
Right.
He
So
pulled
he's
that
like,
off.
right out of the gates, he's like, I got free coffee. I'm already winning. This whole thing's already a
yeah,
win
it's
for me.
awesome. So we did the jet ski with Fury, and then we did, and then we went on a helicopter tour.
Wow.
With Air Adventures. Shout out to Peter. Thank you so much for putting that together. Like, he was in the email, he's like, I never do this kind of stuff for people who ask for free trips in lieu of, social media return.
Yeah.
He's like, however, what you are doing is something that I think is what needs to happen these days.
Right.
And I want to be a part of it. Like, he wrote that email so specifically how he was so grateful that I even called him.
Yeah.
So
That's
Peter's
great.
man.
That's great. Yeah, because he saw the vision, not just like advertising.
He's like, however, I hope that I can help you so that I can share your story with my people. And he's got a ton of followers.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. So after that, I get then after the helicopter, I get a phone call from Mango's, the restaurant in town. And Jack is the guy who runs it. Jack calls me up and says, hey, Scott, I see what you're doing. I want to be a part of it. Can I provide you guys lunch?
Oh, my
It's
God.
like, are you kidding me,
That's
dude?
great.
Yeah. And I was like, all right, but we have 0 time. I need it by 11:45. He's like, I got you, man. What do you want? Just make something that we can eat.
Yeah, right.
So literally we go over to Mango's at 11:45, and Brittany, who works with them, it had everything ready to go.
Right.
If we pick it up, go back. And then one of my favorite things that we did that didn't involve any like businesses was I wanted to showcase some kind of community volunteer segment. Because I really believe that volunteerism is a really important thing to do when you're visiting any kind of town.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to take a pause for the cause and donate goods to the little pantry in the Bahama Village. So I had a whole bag full of stuff, and Manny and I filled up that cabinet full of non-perishable items.
Good.
Because really, like, we had to take a pause for the cause. Like, we had to show our appreciation to Key West for making this happen.
Right.
And so we did that, and man, it's just such a cool feeling. Like, you could just see the love that he had, and how appreciative and how giving everybody is in Key West. Just the way that little pantry looks, you know.
Yeah.
And so then after that, we had some lunch, and then we start heading 20 miles north
For the next adventure?
For the next adventure on Sugarloaf.
Wow.
And we took him skydiving.
I thought that's what it was because I saw the before, and you're like, I'm going to put this on my YouTube. And then you saw the after, and his face was like kind of like ghosty a little. And he's like, man, I don't, like.
So I absolutely had to keep that a secret.
Yeah.
And just because I want people to have a surprise, the audience, I want the audience to have a surprise. I just love surprises, dude.
Yeah.
And so now that the video has been aired, I want the audience to have that, I wanted them to have that surprise.
Right.
So that when you do watch it, you're going to see that we went skydiving.
Okay. So he goes skydiving, and was he like, I'm in, or was he like, I don't know?
You know what? I think that he was kind of desensitized by all of this already.
Right.
Which was so perfect. I wanted to take him skydiving first in the morning.
Yeah.
But I was like, wait a minute. I don't even know if I'd want to do that for the first time. So I had to,
It was a better build up, I think.
Yeah.
Because, it's like 8 in the morning. You're like, you got that coffee. We're going skydiving. He's like, who? Do what? You like hooked him up a little.
So, so how was he feeling when I told him we were going skydiving? I don't think that he was surprised.
Right.
I don't know how he was feeling inside, but he was just.
He was just like, yes, for everything.
Like, of course he would take me skydiving,
right,
okay, so now this is the next adventure. So he went skydiving, and he killed it, dude.
Yeah.
Like, he just was so excited. And just when you'll see in the video, just the emotions that he shares with me, and the way he shares his conversations and his thoughts, like, it's really, really impactful. Like, he he really changed my life.
Wow.
100%, just as much as I changed his.
And what's just if people are just listening and they're midway through this, where would they go to see the video? We're going to put all that later too, but just so we have a shout out.
So if you go onto YouTube, just type in Scott Gerke or Scott Gerke Key West. My account name is / Scott Gerke. So
spell the Gerke.
So it's youtube.com /C / Scott Gerke, which is SCOTTGERKE.
Perfect. Okay.
Or you can just type in Scott Key West. I'm all over the place, dude.
Or the most epic
Key West adventure experience. I'm going to tag it all like that.
Yeah.
And then if you just type in Scott Key, you'll
I'm going to put it in the show notes for this too,
yeah.
So people will see it. But just in case they're listening and they're driving and they wanted to go and watch it now, they could.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So skydiving is
done.
Then
we went skydiving, and we're on time. Everything is on time. Like every attraction that booked us knew that we had a hard stop.
Right.
And everybody made that work. It was crazy. So even the skydiving, we were 15 minutes early. So we got to do some more filming, got to relax for a minute. So then we go back. We go back to Key West. And right as soon as we get back to Key West, the boat is ready for us. We're going out with Pavel with Key West boat trips, Key West boat trips. And he takes us to Snipes Point.
Wow.
Yeah. And we're sitting in this beautiful...
And tell me Manny's never been on a boat before, too.
Manny is from Durham, North Carolina.
Wow.
Who works 2 jobs. Doesn't get to do much, but absolutely loves to go on whatever adventure that is available to him.
This worked out for him.
It couldn't have been a better person.
Yeah.
He was so grateful for everything. So we're on this beautiful boat, and if Pavel has this really nice, super comfortable boat that goes really fast.
Yeah.
And so we got on the boat, and we start beelining it over to what's called Mud Keys, which is just a beautiful spot before you get to Snipes. And so we went through these nice little canals, like this mangrove forest. Have you been out there before?
No, never.
Holy cow,
I know,
dude.
I need to.
All right, so I'm booking us a trip with Key West Boat Trips, dude.
Okay, I got to get out there.
It is incredible. So you're going through these really, really tight canals, mangroves all over the place, birds everywhere. You can see to the bottom. It's crystal clear. And then as soon as you get to this mangrove forest that you don't think has any end to it,
right,
it opens up to this beautiful beach sandbar where you just get out, ankle deep water, and you just chill.
Wow.
It is something special,
Yeah.
dude.
So he was like blown away by that.
You kidding me?
Yeah.
I'd hardly even go there, man.
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy. And he just gets up out of the water, into the water, and he just stops, and and we got, like I said, we have all of his emotions on film.
Yeah.
And he's just like, wow, man, what did I do? What
Right.
did I do to just, like, I woke up.
Yeah.
That's all I did is I woke up.
Well, he took a chance is what he did.
And that's what he says in the video too.
Yeah.
And I took a chance. And he talks. He's on his phone almost the whole time, just
Right.
calling all his friends, telling them
Yeah,
about all
send
these
pictures
adventures.
of it.
It was so annoying at first, but I'm like, you know what? This dude is sharing something that he knows his friends would enjoy.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? You can have that.
Yeah.
Until we got to Mud Key, and then no cell service out
Right.
there. So anyway, so we got to Mud Key, and there were probably 15 people already there hanging out. And I knew this was the perfect opportunity to introduce Manny to the community. Now, the whole social media community already knew about this guy, right? But now I wanted people to meet him in person.
Right.
So I got on the bow of the boat, and I introduced everybody to Manny. And I told him our story. And then I said, it's also Manny's birthday, so if everybody could please join me in singing him happy birthday.
Right.
And everybody, on the count of 3, boom, made it happen.
Wow.
And that dude just felt like $1 million, man.
Yeah.
And so then we got done with Mud Key, and then we went into Snipes. Same thing, dude. Some people saw us and like, oh, Scott, what's up? Is this your stranger?
Yeah.
Like, it was awesome.
Right.
And so somebody was wishing him a happy birthday. And then we go over and we have like this really cool, like, we call it the thought tree, where you like swing back and forth and over to Snipes Point. So we just set up a camera. I said, hey, I'm going to leave you alone for 30 minutes. If you want 30 minutes, cool. If not, but I'm going to sit you there on that swing, and I want you to speak your mind. So this guy, I get chills already just thinking about it. This guy is a spoken word poet.
Wow.
And so he starts going at it, dude. And it was incredible. Like, he has had such a hard life.
Yeah.
Such a hard life.
Yeah.
And I'm really, really, really happy that I gave this to him.
Yeah.
It was
on his
cool.
birthday too.
On his birthday, man.
Yeah.
And so he just has his own little time by himself at the Thought Tree that I just created because I just wanted this guy to have his own time.
Yeah.
And so when I get back to the film, I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is absolutely golden. Like this guy has
a moment.
So much. He had his moment. And so then I wanted to take that moment. And then I wanted the videographer to take that moment. So all of three of us shared our own moments on that tree, on that swing, on camera. And the video, man, it kind of brings you to tears, dude.
Yeah.
It was.
Well, it's humanity at its best.
It is.
You know what I'm saying?
So
from
organic.
him, from you, from the people of Key West, from the businesses.
So organic.
Yeah.
And once we finished that experience, then we went and watched the sunset at Jewfish Basin. Have you done that one?
No.
Oh man, I can't wait to take you out. I cannot wait. So we watched the sunset, probably like the absolute best spot in Key West, I think, to watch. And you're floating in the water and 3 inches of water.
Yeah. That's where you can see the spark.
So you see this, you see all like the ripples and everything is just perfect. And you always maybe get some dogs running around. We had dogs running around that night, and it's just beautiful. So we watched the sunset as soon as the sun.
And he's been up 24 hours now. He's coming out like 48 hours.
Yeah. Dude, the guy did not. Well, sorry, he probably took an hour nap. He said.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, he's been up 24 hours, and once the sun literally just pops right underneath the horizon, we beeline it over to the night kayak tour.
Wow.
That I have never done in my life. I know about it, but I never took the time to do it.
And where was that? Where did you pick that up?
Marriott.
Marriott. Okay.
And that is another one of Pavel's companies. Him and his partner, Brandon is the tour guide. He is the one who will guide you in this kayak with these little green lights underneath. And he has a headlamp. He's a local guy who knows a lot about the biology in town. And he will literally take you in your kayak at night in these little mangrove forests that is just perfect for a kayak.
Yeah.
And we'll find animals
Nighttime
and show them to
creatures,
you and pick them up. And he does this very carefully, and he's very respectable. The guy puts on a great show. Like he is an awesome asset to that company.
Yeah. Okay. So you do the night kayaking, you see creatures. Now, what time is this?
And dude, this is again mind blowing to Manny. He's like, starfish,
right. Yeah.
Lobsters, stone crabs.
Yeah.
And so this was now at 6:30. We start the boat tour or the kayak tour.
Okay.
So we do that from 6:30 to 8. Whole thing was perfect, and 8 o'clock rolls around, and this is the grand finale, the thing that was just most near and dear to my heart. Long time ago, not too long ago anyways, I used to host these full moon parties at Higgs Beach.
Yes.
And for a story I'll share with you a little bit, I put it away.
Right.
But I've been dying to do it again. And so I was like, there is no better opportunity to host another, what could have been a full moon party, but let's just call it a party on the beach. There's no better opportunity to host a surprise party for some random guy on the beach.
Yeah.
And so I just asked all the full moon people, the ones that used to come to the beach parties. I didn't invite everybody because I didn't want, 600 people there.
Right.
But I just asked like the core group of really talented artists who I really admire, who could add something to the environment. So I called up every single person. I got my DJ. So shout out to John Tishok. He DJ'd the party. By the way, this is like a 65-year-old man who's like one of my best friends. Yeah. And he just started DJing about a year ago because of COVID. And for years, since I've known him, he always kind of like hesitated. I was like, John, you are a DJ, bro. Like you are just a colorful guy who loves music. You need to do this. Right. And it took me like 2 years of just pushing it. Come on, you can do this. And when COVID hit, he calls me up and says, Scott, I want to do this. My brain isn't, it's just kind of, things are just a little bit weird for me. I just need an outlet. I said, perfect. I'm moving into my van. Here's all my gear. Yeah. So I give him all my backup stuff.
Right. To DJ, to practice.
And I call him, he calls me once, twice, 3 times a week. And now he is an awesome DJ who like blends music perfectly.
Wow.
And so he's my guy. Like he is the DJ that I would want at this kind of event. And so he DJ'd it. Then I have a couple friends. DJ actually is his name, David Johnson, who's a fire dancer. And so he spun fire. We had a couple other people spinning fire and just a core group of friends.
Yeah.
Some friends who are really good dancers. Shout out to Brock for showing up. He's just a really awesome, fun dancer to have around. And then just a core group of friends like my buddy Ami, who just kind of, everybody just has a space that they know where they belong.
Right, they're like pieces of the puzzle.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so once the nighttime kayak event was done, it was on to our next surprise. So I called them up and said, hey, we're on our way. And so everybody's partying, doing their own thing right now. And we get over there and I call them up and said, turn the lights off, turn the music off. You guys do not exist.
Right.
So we park. I ask him to keep his head down. I tried to put a blindfold on him. He didn't want that.
Right.
So, and so he puts his head down and I walk him out and nobody's making any noises. And I walk him to the center of the beach. I have him, lift his head up. I'm like, all right, guys, this is your man.
Right.
Manny, these are your friends.
Yeah.
On a count of three, we're going to wish you happy birthday. 1, 2, 3. And his buddy had a champagne bottle. His cousin had a champagne bottle ready for him. So he gave it to him. As we were singing happy birthday, he shakes it up and then the champagne just explodes. Like he's just dude, he was a total rock star.
Yeah.
He felt like a total rock star that entire day.
Wow. And then party till like 10 o'clock on the beach. You guys
so the party
fun.
then went till like 10:30. And then he's a single dude, so he wanted to hit Duval Street and try to find.
So he wanted to keep going. He was like, "Okay, my adventure with you is over, but now my real adventure begins with the ladies."
I wanted to hang out with him again, so we were gonna meet up. But then he's like, man, I'm at Rick's. I gotta hang out." I was like, "Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. You go have your fun."
Yeah, do your thing. He's like, "I came down here for a couple of reasons." All right, so you had this adventure. Let's now go back.
Yeah.
When you fixed up the Sprinter van and you got ready and you're like, I'm going across country. Is that when you first had the idea of this? Of meeting a stranger who could be a friend and all that? Is that where the concept began and where it came from?
Well, the idea of a stranger is just a friend has just been my lifestyle, like ever since I was a child. My mom loves to share that kind of stories with people. Like I show up in a room as a 6-year-old and I'm already like in the kitchen trying out free samples at a restaurant.
Right.
Like it's just how my life was. And I just never thought about it. It just happens, right? But then it was as I started getting older, I started realizing I had this opportunity to bring people together. And so I started taking up on that opportunity as I got older. I started having a little bit of money to invest into new ideas. And then when I started establishing a connection with the Key West community, I had more opportunity to do things because of their support. So once the DJ business started doing well for itself, I wanted to give back to the community. Mm-hmm. So I started an outdoor movie series at Bayview Park. And I got a ton of sponsorships, which was able to pay off, the debt and everything that it took to make this event work. And I started doing that for 4 years. And that idea started because not only did I want to give back to the community, but I wanted to introduce myself to them. And I also wanted them to know that, I mean business. This is just the beginning of what I'm doing. And to everybody, this was a big production.
Yeah. And
I was like, oh, this is nothing. Are you kidding me? This is just a blow-up screen and a projector.
Right.
But we were doing popcorn, we were doing bounce houses, a petting zoo. Everything I do is just over the top.
Right.
And so we'd get 900 people at Bayview Park, dude.
Yeah.
And it was completely free. And we'd average a little less than that, but opening nights we get 900 people. But anyways, but I had in the back of my head that this was just the beginning. I wanted everybody to know that, hello, I'm Scott, and I'm ready to rock and roll.
Right.
And so I start getting bored with the movies, and I still haven't figured out what my next project was. And this was in February of 2017. And I'm like, you know what? I feel like I don't really have I haven't met I haven't made connections with the people that I've been wanting to make connections with, and I know it's all on me. Like, it's up to me to make those connections. So I told myself, why don't you just throw a party on Higgs Beach? And so I brought my blow up movie screen. I brought all my
Keep
DJ
talking.
gear.
I got to plug in power. Keep talking.
I brought my blow up movie screen, my DJ gear, and I just invited like 30 friends. And the idea was that this event was going to give them the space to be themselves.
Wow.
And I didn't really tell them that. I just wanted to see what their reaction would be in a situation like this. And so the first night I put up the movie screen and I surprised everybody with videos of themselves that they have on the internet. I just like downloaded random Key West videos and started showing people's faces.
Oh my God. They're like, what the hell's going on?
Hey, they put it on the internet.
Yeah, right.
And so I started playing those videos. It's just like my way of showing my appreciation for those showing up. And then I knew that I needed a surprise. All right. In good fashion, I was going to have a surprise at this event. So at 10 o'clock, Domino's Pizza shows up with 10 boxes of pizzas that my buddy and I bought. And I asked the Domino's guy if he could just do a little dance around the beach, and he starts handing out pizza. And I had a videographer and a photographer from the very beginning because I knew if this was going to work, I had to document it. And I made sure that the documentation was done very professionally. Like, if you look back at 2017 when we first started, you think that I had a lot of money. I mean, I was spending money.
Right.
But then, so we did that for a couple months, and people would start donating, and it actually worked. Everything was getting paid for. I started getting, okay, so then as everything starts to roll around, we get like, at one point, like 400 people at this event. Nobody knows about this still, right? Nobody.
Right.
No permitting.
Yeah.
I start ordering bathrooms from Waste Management.
Oh my God.
Under a different name.
Yeah.
And then the pinnacle of it is I rent the stage. So the stage crew is driving out onto the beach. I have no permit.
Oh my God. I guess the city was like, he must have a permit. No one's got balls like this to do this.
So shout out to the county for Monroe County for just being cool.
Yeah.
So that happens, and then Irma hits, and so when Irma hit, the town was completely flattened, right? Like everything was destroyed and everybody's emotions were all over the place. And it was a terrible place to be. And this is where it gets real. I had friends commit suicide. And I was like, you know what? This is an event that we need to have more than ever. And so I got a permit for it. I told everybody about it. I got it sponsored. I started getting marketing dollars for it. Like, I started getting grants for it. The tourism, like the TDC, started giving me a grant money for it. And I turned it into what I thought was a way to show the community that this is your space for self-expression and participation, as a way to build what you need, the space you need to be yourself, to find those friends, to find your people, and to feel good about yourself.
Yeah.
Like every month had a theme. And the theme was like, and I even had these little cards, like the cards would have nice little sayings like, be yourself. Like, you're the best, you're already the best version you can be. Like, these really nice, thoughtful cards. And I was just pouring my heart out. I was spending so much money on this event, just trying to make it better and better and better. And it was still free. And then because we had a permit, we had to start getting a liquor license, and then people had to start buying booze opposed to just bringing their own, which I can understand was, there was some friction behind it. But
Yeah.
I just had to let people know, like, hey, this is something that needs to be done legit, and I need to ask for your help. And then I started getting a lot of backlash, to the point where people were really hating on me.
Because they had to buy their own booze?
Well, because it started as like a free little community thing where people got to get together, and there wasn't really any
So they thought you were commercializing it.
Correct. And I can completely understand where they're coming from. But at the same point, I thought that I expressed myself well enough to where everybody understood what was happening. And, I can't go on without mentioning that there were a solid crew of people who were willing to support me in any way they could to make this happen. But because of the vision that I had, like I was spending $4,000 on each event sometimes.
Yeah.
Like we were putting aerialists up 30 feet in the air, like as a surprise. Like I was surprising people with the tractor. I was driving a tractor into the audience and tossing an aerial artist into the air with like a custom light show. Like this was a theatrical circus style performance. Like this is what the Full Moon Experience was about. Because Key West didn't have this. And so when I told everybody, hey, like if you like these performances, I need to ask you for your support and donating. And I was always just donating.
Yeah.
Red cups, like find something to give to get back. And it wasn't working. I wasn't getting enough contributions from people, to the point where I was embarrassed to go out with a Full Moon shirt because there were enough people that were hating on me.
Wow.
And I was getting Facebook messages. I was getting phone calls. I was getting like a group of people to try to shut me down. And my life was just completely destroyed. I was like, I poured out so much of my heart. Like this is for my
you
friends.
felt all exposed.
Yeah.
And someone put a dagger in there.
And this was like, a lot of this had to do with mental health. Like, you know, we needed this, you know?
Yeah.
And so then I was like, you know what? I'm going to keep going.
And then I reached out and said, I want to interview you for the Full Moon. And you're like, forget that, buddy. I don't need any exposure right now.
So you asked me to interview, and that's when I realized I'm like, I'm not ready for this.
Yeah.
Like this is not where it needs to be. But my brain was just so persistent. Like I had this vision. I traveled the country. So when I started getting all these really like nasty remarks from people, I realized that I was doing something wrong, right? I didn't take it personally. I just realized that I am not providing what it is they want. And so I was always taking mental notes on people's behaviors at the party, like why they weren't dancing, what parts of the event do they like better, always taking notes. And one thing I realized was I don't know enough about people, like a general sense of all different types of people. So I decided to travel in the country in my van by myself.
Well, and also there was COVID, so there was
this was before COVID.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this was 2018.
Okay.
So this is when the party started getting really big, and people started to kind of start backlashing because of its quote unquote commercialization. So then I traveled the country by myself. I did 14,000 miles in my van, in an effort to.
And would you just put all your business on hold because you're still
I take
DJing?
calls. I'm still taking contracts. It's just the summertime I don't get gigs.
Got it. So it was just a summer thing. I'm going to go for 2 months.
For 3 months, July 1st to September 29th. And so I made it a point to go to every community I thought would make an impact in my life around the country. And so I did 14,000 miles. I went to all the neighborhoods people told me to stay away from because they were dangerous. I went there because I knew that these people didn't understand. So I wanted to understand. So I learned everything about all different cultures around the country. I can tell you one thing, the United States is pretty incredible.
Yeah.
So anyways, I come back with a fresh mind, and I come back from New York City, went to this place called the House of Yes, where I learned so much about theatrical performances. And I came back with a vision. And that vision was I was going to start charging $15, free yoga, free drink, crazy performances all night, DJs, live musicians. It was like a shebang, man.
Right. It was a discount.
It was
like
incredible.
$15 for all this. They're getting their money's worth.
Yeah. So I put gates up because I felt like that's what I needed to do, right? And
just put out the word to all the people.
Put all the word out. It was Fantasy Fest week. It was a Wednesday night. I knew that I would kill it. I did. I did kill it. I actually broke even. But I broke even with the wrong kind of people. Well, not to say the wrong, sorry. Not the wrong kind of people. The people who used to go who decided not to show up. In fact, all the visitors came. It was packed with visitors.
Yeah.
They were happy to pay $15. So I don't mean to say that the visitors are the wrong people.
Right.
You guys are fantastic.
But that's just not what you were going for.
I love visitors.
Yeah.
I love like taking care of all the people in town. But my vision was that
this could be an ongoing thing, and those visitors are not going to be there ongoing.
So what my vision was that the community was going to create the drive of the tourism because they were telling everybody you have to do this.
Yeah.
So I need the support of the locals in order to get the visitors.
Right. This wasn't a money-making thing for you.
Oh, never a money-making.
This was
no.
a community-building
Yeah.
thing for you.
No, I don't need.
Yeah.
I never need any money for
Right.
these kind of events.
Right. You just
All I
didn't want to
need-
burn.
Yeah.
That's
because
all.
my DJ business doing weddings
Yeah.
pays for itself. So
Yeah.
this is just fun for me.
Yeah.
And so the gates go up, and I just get even more backlash. It's just wild, man. Like,
So it was packed with visitors,
Yeah.
but the locals were like,
oh, dude, it was
tearing you up even more for $15.
Dude, it tore me up. It tore me up worse than I've ever felt.
Wow. So you came back from this 3 months, all pumped, revived, ready to go. I'm going to help out. We're going to do this the right way.
Yeah.
I'm going to be able to break even so I'm not losing money. I'm going to be able to start building this foundation for the community. A bunch of tourists came, which was fine because it was at least something to support the
Yeah.
welcome back. And then backlash.
Yeah. So and I charged $15 because when I went to this theatrical performance in New York City, it was packed with people who paid $60 to get
Yeah.
in, which I thought was awesome because I want that $60 to go to those artists.
Yeah.
Like, take my money. This is for
Right.
you.
Yeah.
And so I was like $15 because I was able to get discounts from all the artists. We're talking, they worked for pennies,
Right.
Because they saw the vision and they wanted to be a part of it. And so $15 was the lowest I could go to pay off this expense. And it got so bad that some people would be standing outside of the gate with their own boxes of beer with their lawn chairs to watch the 10 p.m. surprise without paying for it. And I specifically remember a friend of mine who I valued as a friend do that. And it freaking hurt my heart, man.
Yeah.
It killed me. I walked up to him. I said, bro, I've been struggling for the past 2 years.
Yeah.
And you couldn't give me $15
Right.
and pay for I even give them $3 beers. I got sponsorships from local beer companies to give me cheap beer so I could get cheap beer to the
You're not even
audience.
just paying $15
No,
for
dude.
nothing.
No.
You're drinking $20 worth of beer for $15,
And then- yeah.
and you're seeing a show. I mean,
Yeah, and then Paul Menta with his rum company,
Yeah.
and then Pilar. At times they were sponsoring so I could give people free drinks.
Yeah.
Like I went that far. So, anyways, I looked at him. I was like,
And
I
what
was
did he
heartbroken,
say?
man. He's like, I didn't want to pay the $15, and I was like,
so he didn't want to support his friend,
all right,
basically.
all right.
Yeah.
That's but it hurt me. It hurt me so bad, but I quickly stopped myself. I'm like, Scott, you cannot take this personally.
Yeah.
There's a reason why he does not see value in paying to go to this event. And I couldn't figure out what that was. So then I realized, I'm like, you know what? Maybe this just isn't my audience. Like maybe I absolutely 100% do have the core group of people who want to do this party. But maybe there isn't enough of them to support the vision. And so I kept doing it because I had an agreement with TDC that I was going to do this for an entire year because of the grant money that they gave me. And because I wanted to keep testing myself. And
Yeah.
I did a great job. Like we had a blast. But we had like different themes every month were just absolutely incredible. And I cannot say that, I have to mention that we all had a fantastic time. But it was that moment that my friend told me that he didn't want to pay the money that made me realize that, there's something up here.
Yeah. Just
So
as my own 2 cents too, is it's important for you not to always think that there's something I'm doing wrong. Meaning you doing wrong. Just because people don't want to pay or you're getting backlash, it's never just, oh, I must not be providing something for them. You have to understand that people have other things going on in their life.
That too, yeah.
And you have to be just sympathetic. If you want to be sympathetic, it doesn't have to be beating yourself up that, oh, I'm not giving the people what they want. And more about you doing the best that you can. You're doing it with a grateful heart.
Mm-hmm.
And if these people are upset about them, that's a mirror. That's something going on in their own life.
Yep.
Especially if it's your friend as an example, and he knows who you are as a person. He knows you're not like in there with a cash register just counting money, that it's just something going on with him.
Yep. And that was yet to be grown inside of me. So this was a very much like a growth spurt for me, because it was hard for me to see it like that.
Yeah.
Because I wanted my friends to do this, to be a part of it. So, but you're 100% right. Like but I wasn't really there yet. You know, I was still kind of like trying to fight myself. Not too long ago, I was a total people pleaser. Could have almost been the death of me, which is another conversation we're about to get into.
Yeah.
So we get into the full moon, and like 6 months goes by, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just not going to charge anymore. I can't do it. So I start pulling away some of the activities. Start pulling away a lot of my spirit too.
Yeah.
And we just finished out the season for free.
Yeah.
And the last one was one of the most incredible times I've ever had. It was in June. It was a fashion show. I've been wanting to do a fashion show for so long. And I have two friends, the ones I mentioned earlier, John Tishock and David Johnson, who put together this costume tent. And they made a 10 by 10 tent full of different costumes. And we invited everybody to go and put on a costume and walk the red carpet.
Wow.
And I had a friend he was the MC of the event. And, you know, every event is kind of fun for me. Not kind of fun. It's kind of like, there's something I want to do. I had this like costume idea for a while that I wanted to pull off. So I got this big old disco ball, put it on my head, and got this like CO2 cannon thingy and just shot like air at everybody. It's just really silly. But at that moment, that day was filled with incredible amount of anxiety. And because I didn't know what was going to happen next. But what did happen was something that completely changed my life forever. And the reason why I'm doing this, what I'm doing right now, which is the full moon, which is the Once a Stranger project. Towards the end of the full moon experience, when things just sucked, I lost the support of the community. I didn't say I lost. I kind of broke up with. I broke up with my girlfriend. I lost the house that I was renting for 7 years, which is all I knew of Key West was that one house. And I lost myself. And all those things combined resulted in a panic attack. And I had no idea what a panic attack was. I wasn't ready for it. I was driving down the road, and just out of nowhere, my body just escapes me. And I come to a red light.
While you're driving.
I'm just crying like crazy. I could not stop crying. It was absolutely insane. And I knew why I was crying, because I felt like the city, the town was upset with this dream that I had to provide for them.
Right.
And I lost my love, and then my shelter, right? So what's the
all your
Maslow's, you know, the needs of a human, right? So there's 3 of them right there, just gone. And so I had a panic attack, and I called my mom, and she walked me through it. I got home, and I had just.
You didn't know what it was.
No, and I just had gone home like to my new place, and it was super uncomfortable. And then I started not wanting to get out of bed, and I was like, what is going on with me?
Right.
You know, like these were all these new.
But you had work still.
Yeah. Right? I had DJ. But
you would go to the work,
weddings.
but on the time you didn't have work, you were just hibernating.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so I'd want to stay in bed all day. I didn't really care about my appearance.
Did you suffer with any mental health issues before this?
I always have really nasty breakups. Like if I had a breakup, which sometimes, most of the time I caused, I wanted to get back with that person, and I couldn't. And then once I knew that the breakup was over, or the relationship was over, I would beg for them. And then I couldn't eat for like 2-3 weeks. And all I could eat was just like strawberries, or it was terrible. So I knew that there was something inside of me where I was insecure with myself.
Right. There was some strong emotions.
But I didn't know how to express that or understand it. I'm a Pisces 100%. So I felt trauma like that before, but I didn't know. I was just like, just stresses from.
Right. This is what love and breakup is.
Yeah. So then I started not, I was really good at sleeping, didn't really want to eat. And then I was like, you know what? I'm depressed. And the anxiety was just flowing through my veins. Like all day long, I would just have like these tingles mostly in my jaws and in my wrists. And it got to the point where I needed therapy. And so then I finally started seeing a therapist, Steve Willis, who has done a really great job for me. But then it got even worse. It got really, really bad. It got bad to the point where I couldn't sleep.
So now the thing that was giving you the most comfort was gone, which is sleeping.
Yep.
Right? Because a lot of times people that are dealing with some kind of emotion like that, that's why they will go to eating and sleeping, because it's a place where you can get certainty. I close my eyes, I go to sleep.
Yep.
I wake up, I eat, it brings me some sort of joy, comfort.
Exactly. So I couldn't sleep. I couldn't sleep because my anxiety was just through the roof.
Yeah. If your brain is on tilt,
it was on fire, and I could not stop it. Like my buddy, going back to John Tishock, he would take me on bike rides every day to Sandy's, or every other day, just to try to get me doing something. And then I'd go home and I would just flare up with anxiety. It was so crazy, dude. I had no idea what to do about it.
So if that panic attack was a 10, what were you feeling with the anxiety?
8 all day.
Okay.
It was, and this was probably for 2 months.
Right.
It was gnarly.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't wait to see my therapist, sometimes 2 times a week.
Right.
And I was lucky to even have the money to do that, because it was $100 a week.
Yeah.
And
when you went to work, were you riddled with anxiety?
Oh, it was terrible. I was afraid to ask. Like, I'm the guy who's excited. Hey, come on over, ask requests. I was nervous as hell, dude.
Right. So someone would come over to say, hey, I want to request this song.
Yeah.
And you were thinking like, I'm going to get caught. They're going to know that something's wrong with me, 100%. That I'm broken, that I'm destroyed. And
100%. And it was even so bad where I'd even show up to a wedding one time, dude. I completely forgot that I had a wedding.
Wow.
And the wedding coordinator called me and said, hey, Scott, where are you? And I said, what are you talking about? This is tomorrow. They're like, no, it's today. And
oh my God. And then super panic right there.
Dude, the wedding couple was so cool with me. Everybody understood. Like I flat out just, well, I didn't tell them exactly what was going on, but they just knew something was up. They said, just get over here as soon as possible. We'll make this work.
Yeah.
And I did. And the bride even had an awesome time.
Good.
She knew that things happen. So yeah, I was
right.
not
So 8
myself.
out of 10 every day.
Oh, it was terrible. And then I was lucky enough to have a friend, Chris, who would take my phone calls every single day while he's in the middle of getting his master's in business, and like he is tied up with work and school, you know.
Yeah.
But he would make time for me almost every single day.
Did he know anyone who suffered with any of these things, or he was just being a solid?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't recall.
Okay.
But he's like, Scott, this is not you. This is not reality. Like he's a really good talker. Like he just knows how to take care of his friends. He's like, just go high five people.
Yeah.
You need to high five people.
Yeah,
and not like you don't have to physically high five them, but go out, make eye contact, and compliment people. So that was like my mantra. Every day I would high five people.
But what got you to do that? Why didn't you? Because you know how hard it is when you're in that place to get up and go.
It was that I was going to die.
Right. Okay. So you knew in your mind, or you felt, because a lot of people feel like that you're on a road toward the end.
Yeah. Well, I was on the road towards the end because I actually had a dream one night that I shot myself. I had a dream that my little nephew was holding a shotgun.
Right.
It was like, why in the hell would I have that kind of thought? And I had the shotgun in my house.
Yeah.
It didn't work.
Yeah.
So I knew I was okay. And I also knew I didn't want to take my life.
Yeah.
But what I realized was that my body was so exhausted from this experience that I've had for so many months that I have no other way to find my way out of it.
Yeah. Well, that's what happens to a lot of people is they go, okay, if this is going to be the next 20 years of my life, I can't live like this with that 8 out of 10 being 8 out of 10 with panic for the rest of my life. That's why people do it, because it's understandable. If you think of it from a rational standpoint, it is understandable, because it would be like being tortured every single day, nonstop. People that get tortured like that are like, just kill me, right? I need to end this, you know?
And so once I had that feeling of like that dream that I was going to kill myself, I went to the local mental hospital because I had no other option. Like my friends, we just didn't know what else to do, and I wanted to go there to get outpatient help. But they actually kind of Baker acted me, but not like, so I should use the word that that I went in voluntarily, but they bullied me. They bullied me into going either voluntarily or Baker acted. And I went into the local hospital to get help, but instead.
So you were like, I've had a dream about this.
Yeah, and I told them
possibly contemplating this. This is a thought about death and stuff. And they're like, okay, we're taking you in.
And I told them, I said, like, this is misunderstanding. I have all the support I need. The gun doesn't work. We can put that somewhere else.
Yeah.
Like, I have friends who are going to take off work to be with me. Like, this is going to be okay. And they're like, well, we can't release you after having that kind of conversation, which I thought was a bunch of BS. But I understand there are some legalities. And so I gave them that. I was like, you know what? It is what it is. I'm going in. But what really, really bothered me about this local mental facility was I went into the psychiatrist. And the psychiatrist, once he did his evaluation on me, he was like, well, you're just bipolar. If you would take this medication, or would have taken this medication a long time ago, you would have a wife, a solid career, children, and a house. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, you're really going to tell somebody who just had a breakdown that it's because they didn't take this bipolar medication that now they are living this way? I was like, this is so incredibly rude of you to talk to somebody like that. And I immediately realized that this place is just treating me like another number.
Yeah.
And so I went in with the mindset of protecting myself from these people. So instead of seeing these people as my saving grace,
Right, caretakers,
which some of them were nice in there, but they wanted to treat me as a number and just start putting all these medications in me. And I was lucky enough to be able to talk to my therapist and say, hey, this is what I wanted. This is what they want me to take. He's like, holy cow, are you kidding me? Like, no way, dude. They're going to turn you into a vegetable.
Yeah.
So I chose not to. And I treated the psychiatrist as a gatekeeper rather than a person I could trust. And so I had to like talk to him the best I could to get out of there. And they kept me there for 8 days, dude.
Wow.
8 days. I watched people turn to vegetables that were just normal people in there. I got a crayon instead of a pen because I was working on a business plan and I couldn't get a pen.
Wow.
They didn't have anything for me to read in there. That place was a nightmare for me, and a nightmare for many other people too. And so, but that was a total learning experience. They even left my shorts. They even lost my shorts. I couldn't even get those back.
Wow.
But it was a total learning experience for me. And I do not have any like trauma from that. In fact, what I have from that is the understanding that there are problems in this world that we have to tackle, and I'm on to tackle that.
When you were in there, because your mindset was in a different place of like, okay, I want to get out of here.
Yeah.
How was your anxiety level then?
It was manageable. Actually, it was
more manageable because you now had a purpose in a way.
Exactly. There you go. I had a purpose. There you go. Perfect. Exactly. And,
which was get out of here.
Yep. And so I cried a lot. I did do that for sure. And every day I was just trying to figure out a new way to fix rig the system so I could get out. But yeah, on day 8 they finally let me out. And then I get a $25,000 bill from them.
Oh my God! So they kept you there.
Yeah, they kept me. Yeah, and didn't do anything for me. Tried to shove me down with a bunch of pills.
And then send you a bill.
And then they sent me a bill. So I called them immediately. I said, I need to talk with the director of both the medical and the mental facility. And I got a conversation with them. And I said, I'd ask for you guys just to not say anything. I have a piece of paper I'd like to read. Cottonmouth, all to hell. Here's my statement, 2-page statement. They're like, wow, that's terrible. And 2 weeks later, they removed my bill.
Wow.
But you know what that tells me? There's a problem.
Yeah, heck yeah.
There's a problem that they know about.
Yeah.
And it's a problem that needs to be solved.
Yeah.
And I want to solve that. And so I told myself that eventually I'm going to figure out a way to fix the problem that is faced in not only the Florida Keys, but the country, maybe even the world. I don't know where I see myself fit, but I am an ambassador for mental health. And I absolutely made a promise to myself once I got out of that god-awful institution that I don't want people to feel the same way that I had to feel.
Yeah.
And you know what's even worse is that some people don't have the support that I had.
Yeah.
Or the money. like I realized that I was very, very privileged during my entire bouts of depression and anxiety. And if I was alone, if I didn't have money, if I couldn't spend $100 a week on a therapist, I would have not been here today.
Wow.
I would have done something, dude. I couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
It was terrible. And so now after that experience that I've been through, I am 100% so passionate about making mental health a daily conversation in people's lives that I am using YouTube and Instagram as my outlet to get people to see what I've been through and see what my life is like now.
And how did you start to come out? Like, how are you doing now?
I feel great. I feel great mainly because I have a purpose and I really don't care what other people think anymore.
Which is doing the show.
Which is doing whatever I feel is right at the moment. And because I know that the core group of people that I love what I do no matter what. And I use their energy as fuel to keep going. And I tell you, and so I had a conversation with one of my buddies, Larry Bartabli.
I like all the shout outs. I love it.
And we had a conversation on my blue couch. We have this blue couch outside of my house. It was just always a fun place to hang out. And he noticed I was struggling. And he's like, Scott, he's like, just think outside of Key West, man. Like, just what can you do outside of Key West? And I'm like, that's all I needed to hear. And so I decided to look outside of the island to continue the support that I was looking for to bring awareness to mental health and to share with people that if you allow people into your life and accept them for who they are, you can really live a fun and exciting and healthy life,
right.
You know, and that's why the YouTube series, Once a Stranger, is all about the power of hello, and that it takes the community to share support towards one another to really grow into the person you want to become.
Right. And the community doesn't always have to just be your community.
Correct.
It could be your online community.
100%.
It could be,
as long as you have the right mindset.
Yeah.
When I was doing YouTube videos at first, I was too worried about the likes and
of course.
All the analytics that YouTube wants you to freak out about.
Yeah.
And I then had another panic attack in the middle of Maine when I was filming YouTube videos because I was too concerned about the final result happening too quickly.
Yeah.
And so then I went another bout of depression for like 3 or 4 months.
Wow.
It was terrible. And I was on the road, on the highway, dude.
Yeah.
Barely even able to
Right.
drive.
So no real support.
No.
Like physical
I had
support.
my family to call, and I had some really nice friends in Maine. I stayed with them for 2 weeks. Dude, and then I went home and I didn't have any work. So this is now, just recently, actually, I got back. It was last summer. I was gone filming my Once a Stranger project. And once I got that anxiety, had that moment for 3 months, I worked as a cook just to get my mind off of it. Also, I love to cook, you know, so I did that. I didn't have any DJ work now. All right. So I'm just a filmer at this point.
Yeah.
Because the pandemic has completely destroyed like all of my work. And then I stayed at my parents' house for 2 months. And then, man, I tell you what, if it wasn't for my friends Ami and Carla, who have a place in Sugarloaf that have like a garage that's kind of finished and allows me to stay there, they gave me that space to stay at because they knew that I belonged back in Key West.
Yeah.
They're like, Scott, you got to stop fighting yourself, man.
Yeah.
Because I kind of hated on Key West.
Yeah.
And a lot of people knew that. And I kind of made it obvious because I hated on them because I thought that I was...
You put yourself out there and you got stabbed.
And I was
for
embarrassed. I was so like ashamed of what I was doing, man. I was like, why am I feeling this way? So I wanted to just explore. But then I was like, no, this is my community. I just need to do this with a different mindset and appreciate who I have and give those people, share with those people the love that I have for them for sharing it with me and not worry about anybody else. You know, that was always my problem. Such a people pleaser.
Yeah.
So annoying.
You know, I've talked to a number of people with panic disorder, depression, anxiety, and so much of it all stems into the same thing: caring way too much what other people think about everything. The more you can adapt the I don't give a crap attitude, but still do, but not as much, that's when things get a little bit lighter. And it's hard. It's really hard.
Dude, it took me years. I'm 35 now. And so they convinced me, Ami and Carla, they told me, they're like, Scott, you need to come down here. And I was like, I don't have any money. They're like, it's okay. Like, we have a space for you. And so they let me stay at their space. And it was right on the water. So I'd go swim every day.
Nice.
And then DJ business started coming back. I was getting gigs every weekend in October. I was like, oh, beautiful. This is working out. The whole town started hearing that I was in town. Started calling me to do DJ gigs. And I started getting this excitement to be back here. I felt a little foolish, don't get me wrong, because I made this grand old exit, that I was going to do this crazy thing around the country.
Right.
But I was happy to be back, and it felt great. And then I realized within 1 month of being in Key West, you know what? If I just continue my DJ work, or whatever, my event production stuff, that is my moneymaker. It's always been my moneymaker. I can keep building videos, and I can keep producing content for Once a Stranger without the concern of progress.
Right.
Because
patience. You can have patience.
I can have patience because I have this company that's been established in Key West for 11 years that kind of runs on its own. So as long as I just keep tending to that business and make money, I'm all about slow growth.
Right. This is your passion project.
This passion project is all about slow growth.
Yeah.
And my life, my brain, my soul, everything has been just feeling so great.
Yeah.
Because I do not need to care about the numbers, and nor should I, nor should anybody.
Right.
And that's one message I'd like to leave the audience with, because that's something that a lot of little kids always come up to me. As soon as they hear I'm on YouTube, they want to know how many followers I have.
Of course.
And it just kills me, dude, because I know the anxiety. I share with them that anxiety that they must feel. And so I always have these little moments with these people who want to know how many followers I have. I was like, you guys have to give that up immediately.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to be in for it.
Yeah.
And so now
it really becomes parabolic, where like it's almost the true gift of how it's supposed to be, which is, let's say that you're exercising and you do that for like 8 months and you don't see any results. And then the 9th month, boop, you got puffy muscles and you're like, where'd they come from?
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's like, the light shines on the people that put in the work and put in the time and put in the effort and don't care about the results, know?
And I'm a big Gary V fan.
Yeah.
Gary Vaynerchuk.
A shout out to Gary. Me too.
And for a long time I didn't like him, but I knew I had to keep following this guy. There's
most
something
people
about
didn't
him.
like him at first.
And I've been following this guy since he was selling wine, like way back in the day. I was like 17 years old or something like that. And I just knew there was something about this guy. And finally, once I grew up and realized like what my purpose was, he started coming more into the picture. And I started realizing this guy has a lot of wonderful things to share that I could learn from. And so I started, taking what he has to say about just not caring about what other people thought about you. Just keep doing, just keep grinding.
Yeah.
And just know that you are living with a purpose.
Yeah.
And you need to do it and execute with passion.
That's it.
And I live like that every single day. And I'm learning so much about videography. Like DJing is still my full-time gig. I absolutely love to DJ and working on some live stream events for everybody. And for myself, let's be real. I need to be able to produce like I'm a creator.
Yeah.
But this video thing I've now realized that video creation is going to take me around the world.
Yeah.
Like my goal is, and I'm going to say this on record because I want to see if this, or I want to know if this is going to happen.
You can have a flashback to you in 10 years in the future listening to this.
This is like one of those Gary Vee flashbacks that he has.
Yeah.
So my idea is to travel the country or travel the world with my camera and throw full moon parties in every single country, or at least, as many countries as possible. And I want to share with the world the cultures that we live amongst and celebrate people for who they are within that country. And then I want to take it even a step further. I want to throw the biggest full moon party in the world by organizing
like a simultaneous
videographer in every single country to turn on their computer screen, their video cameras when the moon hits at a certain angle, so that we can all share this celebration together.
I love it. And meeting new people and sharing new people with the world, and with what you're doing with, this show that you're putting together.
Yeah.
Starting in Key West, and who knows where it's going to go.
Yeah, it's going all around the world.
Yeah.
That's just where it's headed. That's where I'm going to take it.
I love it. Parting words, message.
Yeah. Parting words. Oh man. The power of hello is real.
So is the power of a high five, apparently.
And the power of a high five.
Yeah.
You just have to accept others for who they are and let people be who they want to be.
Yeah. I love it. I love this. I love that we just recently connected and met for the first time. I love that you put together that epic adventure and the way that you did it and shared it. I was like, every time I pick up my phone just to see where you were at, like, it was really inspiring and exciting. I'll put in the show notes a variety of things about this episode because it started out on like one direction and ended on another with anxiety and depression, because it's important that people know.
Yeah, no, I want people to know this.
So,
I absolutely am. I'm an open book.
Yeah.
But I also want to turn this to you and thank you for being the person you are. Like, there were times when I was driving back and forth from Clearwater to Key West to do these gigs because I was still living at my parents' house. And I'll never forget this turn that I made on 595 coming into Key West, where I was just feeling like crap. And I knew that I could turn on one of your podcasts to feel better about it. And I made that turn on 595 and your podcast turned up and I heard your voice and I was like, this is going to be a good day.
Awesome.
Because I knew that this episode was going to have some kind of inspirational message, or maybe a struggle that this person had that I could relate to.
Yeah. And
you have such a wonderful way of connecting with people in your podcast and getting them to actually talk with you. The way that you show respect to these people. It's really nice as a listener to be a part of that.
I appreciate that.
I want to thank you.
That means the world to me. That's like why I do it, just for the moment like this.
I've listened to every single one of your podcasts, and I know that every one of them is going to leave me with some kind of value.
That's awesome. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, dude,
I honor that, and I look forward to watching this episode for the first time. So I appreciate it. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep us posted. I'll put everything in the show notes, and I don't know. I can't wait to be a part of the full moon journey all over the world.
Yeah, man. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Scott.
All right, so this is Mark, everybody. Mark Baratto with Backyards of Key West.
What's up, everybody?
He's a total stud muffin, ain't he? You got to see his face for an hour and a half.
For once.